Finally, something happened. Finally. I think this is bogus. I think it's petty. I don't think this is enough. It's a slap on the wrist. It looks like Alyssa Thomas was suspended, finally. But this has been the epicenter of the sports world conversation today, has been this entire situation, fist to throat, all types of stuff. We got to.
That energy isn't manufactured. It's what happens when the most talked about athlete in women's basketball takes a fist to the throat on national television, and the league's response lands like a shrug. One game, that's the entire penalty. Over the next few minutes, we'll walk through exactly what was decided, why even neutral analysts are calling it a fumble, and the one piece of this story that almost everyone got wrong.
Okay, the WNBA issued a statement. Upon post-game review, the Phoenix Mercury's Alyssa Thomas has received a flagrant foul 2 penalty and a 1-game suspension. If that was going to suspend her for 1 game, it's like doing nothing. Like this league is a joke. This league is a joke. How do you get a 1-game suspension for that? You need to make a statement. You need to protect your player.
Here's exactly what the league handed down. On Thursday, the WNBA hit Phoenix Mercury forward Alyssa Thomas with a flagrant foul 2 and a 1-game suspension for, in the league's own words, recklessly making contact with her fist to the throat area of Caitlin Clark. They labeled it a non-basketball act. The consequence, Thomas sits a single game this Saturday against the Toronto Tempo. Fever president Kelly Krauskopf responded with a short statement saying player safety should be paramount and that the team's focus right now is on Clark.
I just think a 1-game suspension is literally a joke. In my opinion, it's literally a joke. It says the incident for which Thomas was deemed to have committed a non-basketball act occurring with 6:52 remaining in the second quarter in the Mercury's 111-109 win over Phoenix over Fever last night. This is a joke, though. A 1-game suspension.
So what actually happened on the floor? Rewind to Wednesday night in Indianapolis, second quarter. Clark hits the deck chasing a loose ball, and as Thomas gets up, she presses her fist into Clark's throat and steps over her. In real time, nothing was called. Officials went to the monitor to review a different play, a hard closeout on Clark moments earlier, and chose not to upgrade that one either. Clark stayed in briefly, then checked out in the third quarter, holding her back, and didn't return. She finished with 19 points and 8 assists in just 20 minutes of play. Phoenix won it 111-109.
Blasted the WNBA today. Take a listen to what he had to say.
It's either incompetence or intentional. Both are embarrassing. The WNBA, they just keep driving into a wall at full speed with Caitlin Clark.
Yep.
They now have a commemorative poster of 30 years of the WNBA. Caitlin Clark's not on it. And it's not just like an ode to the veterans that started the...
That's Fox Sports host Colin Cowherd, and he's pointing at something that genuinely embarrassed the league this same week. To mark 30 years of the WNBA, the league rolled out a commemorative anniversary poster, 1 star for each franchise across 3 decades. A'ja Wilson is on it. Paige Bueckers is on it. Angel Reese is on it. For the Indiana Fever, the player they chose was Sophie Cunningham, who joined the team in 2025 instead of Caitlin Clark, the single biggest draw this league has ever produced. And it wasn't only Clark left off. Legends like Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, and Maya Moore were missing too. The internet, predictably, came unglued.
You moved her road games to bigger arenas to accommodate the fans.
Exactly.
You were flying the last 6 rows of Southwest Airlines until she made such an impact, you pivoted to private jets. And she's not on the 30-year poster. But Paige Bueckers and Angel Reese are. What? I mean, recently there were TV games. Hers got double the rating of A'ja Wilson, the best player in the league, the 3-time champ and the 4-time MVP. Double the rating.
Now, Cowherd frames every piece of this as a league sabotaging its own superstar, moving Fever road games to bigger arenas to fit the crowds, upgrading the league's travel as interest exploded, and then leaving Clark off the very poster celebrating its history. And on the ratings, the numbers back the spirit of his argument. A single Fever Liberty broadcast on CBS pulled 2.56 million viewers. A marquee Lynx Aces matchup the following week, built around Wilson, the four-time MVP, drew under 1 million. On cable, it's the same gap. A June Fever game hit 1 million viewers on USA Network, while an Aces game the night before drew 457,000. But here's the part the outrage skipped right over. According to reporter Darren Rovell, Clark isn't missing from that poster because of some grand disrespect. It's licensing. Outside of her Nike deal, Clark only allows companies like Wincraft, the maker of the poster, to use her name and number, not her likeness. They legally could not print her face, so the snub people screamed about was, at its core, a contract clause Clark herself controls.
You don't know to ride that wave? You don't know to be mindful and cognizant of that reality and go forward from there? You don't know that? Don't you want to make money? What you don't do is have such a disdain and a disregard for her that her coach is complaining about intentional harm being aimed in her direction because of the resentment.
That's ESPN's Stephen A. Smith, giving voice to what a huge slice of Clark's fanbase believes in their bones, that there's real resentment aimed at her, and that opponents take liberties because of it. It's worth being precise here, because two very different claims are tangled together. One is verifiable and on the record. Fever head coach Stephanie White has openly and repeatedly torched the officiating. After Wednesday's game, she called the no call egregious and, in her words, utterly disrespectful, and she has said for months that Clark simply isn't called the same way everyone else is. That's documented. The other claim, that the contact is deliberate, coordinated targeting fueled by jealousy, is interpretation. It's what Smith argues and what many fans feel, but it's not something the league has acknowledged, and it's not something anyone has proven.
She's that girl. You ride that wave. You want to beat Caitlin Clark? Beat her playing basketball. Don't beat her with roughhouse tactics.
And what Alyssa Thomas did was purely a roughhouse tactic.
Used it while you've been on the air with me. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it ain't a damn mongoose. I've said that many, many times over the years. There is a flagrant level of resentment.
Smith's bigger point is the rising tide argument, that a generational star lifts everyone's paycheck, so the smart play is to protect her, not bruise her. And whatever you decide about the motive, the physical pattern around Clark genuinely isn't new. In her rookie season, a Chicago Sky player had a foul upgraded to a flagrant for checking Clark with a shoulder. This week's hit carried a different weight, though, because it was Thomas's first suspension in a 13-year career, and it landed in the second straight chippy game between these two teams. Their Monday meeting, an 86-77 Fever win, featured 6 technical fouls and an ejection. And while all of this plays out, the fans keep voting with their clicks. In the latest All-Star returns, Clark sits second in the league, her teammate Aaliyah Boston first, and Wilson third. The audience has made it very clear who it's showing up to watch.
The blatant targeting, it's really, really obvious. It's really, really blatant, and it's nasty, and it's a bad look for the league. I think the league had a opportunity here to really make a statement, and but it's the WNBA. They dropped the ball once again with a 1-game suspension, a slap on the wrist. The league is to not be taken serious. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think. This Keep Division.
So let's actually weigh this, because the loudest take and the correct take aren't always the same thing. The case that one game is too soft is strong, and it isn't just emotion. Under WNBA rules, a player triggers an automatic 1-game suspension once she accumulates 4 total flagrant points, and a flagrant 2 carries a heavy share of that on its own. So when the league handed Thomas exactly 1 game, a fair reading is that this wasn't a bold disciplinary stand at all. It may have been close to the automatic minimum the rulebook already demanded. If your goal is to prove you'll protect your players, the floor of your own policy is a strange place to plant your flag. The other side deserves a real hearing, though. Physicality has always lived in this league. Bodies bang, veterans test newcomers, and basketball at every level gets rougher when it matters. The WNBA did review the play, it did upgrade it, and it did suspend a player for the first time in over a decade of her career, which is not nothing. You can believe the punishment was light and still admit the league didn't simply look the other way. But here's where the WNBA keeps tripping over its own feet: the optics. Look back at that anniversary poster. The story fans told was that the league erased its brightest star out of spite, and that version is false. It matters to say that plainly. Rovell laid out that Clark controls her own image rights, and the company physically could not use her face. So the real failure wasn't malice. It was dropping a poster with zero explanation attached in the single most suspicious week imaginable from a league that hasn't earned the benefit of the doubt. That's not a conspiracy. That's a communications breakdown, and it's entirely self-inflicted. Underneath all the noise sits the part that should actually frighten Indiana and the league office, which is Clark's health. She left Wednesday's game grabbing at her back. She has a documented history of back trouble. She sat a game against the Portland Fire back in May because of it, and an injury-wrecked 2025 limited her to just 13 appearances all year. This season, she's been the engine of the entire product, posting a career-best scoring average and ranking second in the league in assists. When your most valuable asset takes a fist to the throat and the whistle never comes, the alarming headline isn't how many games the other player sits. It's that the moment happened at all, because the business reality is impossible to ignore, and this is where the numbers do the arguing for you. Clark's games don't draw a little more than everyone else's. They draw multiples. We're talking millions on a national window against a fraction of that for comparable star matchups. She and Aaliyah Boston are the top two names in all-star balloting. The audience has told this league in the plainest possible terms exactly who it's tuning in for. Protecting that isn't favoritism, it's arithmetic. I do want to keep one line clean because it decides whether this whole conversation holds up 6 months from now. The idea that Clark is the victim of organized, intentional targeting driven by envy is interpretation. It's what Stephen A. Smith asserts, it's what Cowherd implies, and it's what a lot of people feel watching her get knocked around. What's actually provable is narrower and honestly sturdier. A head coach in Stephanie White who keeps saying out loud that her star isn't officiated fairly. A no call she called egregious. And a penalty that plenty of reasonable observers think was too light. Argue the motive all you want, but build the foundation on the part you can prove. These teams aren't finished with each other, either. They meet one final time, July 9th in Phoenix, to close out the regular season. And you can bet every whistle in that building will be under a microscope. The All-Star Game tips July 25th in Chicago. And Commissioner Cathy Engelbert is going to spend this entire stretch answering for how her league is handling the biggest gift it has ever been handed, because that's exactly what happens when the spotlight finally shows up. So here's the question, and you have to actually choose. Was one game a fair penalty for a fist to the throat, the system working the way it was designed, or did the WNBA have a clean chance to make a statement about player safety and settle for the bare minimum instead? You can't have it both ways. Drop your verdict in the comments, tell me exactly where you think I'm wrong, and if you want the grounded version of these stories instead of the rage bait, subscribe, because that rematch on July 9th is shaping up to be appointment viewing.